Hello everyone, my name is Gabby. I may be on holidays and also have a little bit of a cold, but that's not going to stop me from doing another Dragon Ball Super review, this time reviewing episode 69. The World Invention Award is going on, and the winner is none other than Senbei Norimaki, from Penguin Village, from Dr. Slump. Meanwhile, Dr. Masharito has come back as a ghost to hijack this win. He gives Arale and the Garchans a drug that makes them more active than usual, and it's up to Goku and Vegeta to stop her. And given she's from a gag manga, that's probably impossible. It's only by summoning Beerus that they're able to stop their inevitable fight, and he's only prevented from destroying Arale because of a sudden case of digestion issues. Because Dr. Slump humor. Then the drug wears off, and the Dr. Slump characters return home. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, I really appreciate just how much effort Toei put into this Dragon Ball Super Dr. Slump crossover. Like, they could have just totally, not made this a big deal at all. They'd just be just randomly Arale shows up, kind of like what happened in episode 43, and just be like, oh, this is Arale, I guess. If you don't know who she is, well, whatever, I mean, this is a thing. And, not making a big deal out of it at all. But in this episode, no, they totally made a big deal. They start off by having, a big introduction that Arale is appearing in Dragon Ball Super, and then it cuts to the Dr. Slump theme song with Arale going around in Penguin Village and everything like that. It's they made a really big deal out of this, and I think that's really awesome. This wasn't just, only Arale returning. They had Arale, they had the Garchans, they had Senbei, they had Dr. Masharito. They had Dr. Masharito coming back as a ghost, them actually acknowledging that he's supposed to be dead, and him saying that he's coming back from hell to get his revenge. They actually seem to kind of always care about almost Dr. Slump continuity there. That's, something I was not really expecting. It was really, honestly, really refreshing that they actually really cared about this. The other benefit about this being a Dr. Slump crossover was also that it basically meant that they got to do something that I really, really enjoy, and that is just put a whole lot of fourth wall humor, which they do a lot in Dr. Slump, and because this was a Dr. Slump crossover, they got to do that in Dragon Ball Super, and that's really fun. The fact that, having Vegeta be, realizing that he can't beat Arale because Arale is from a gag manga, and she has gag manga logic, and he only operates on battle manga logic, so he probably can't beat her, even if he is, ridiculously powerful, because Arale's always going to be more powerful because she's from a gag manga, and she can do whatever the plot demands her to, because that's how Dr. Slump works. One of my favorite things about Dr. Slump is the fact that the characters, there is basically no fourth wall, and the characters just flat out acknowledge that they're manga characters, and I don't know if this is actually real. And the fact that that actually went into Dragon Ball Super, even if it's for a zany crossover episode, is honestly just really, it's just funny. I just find this really funny, and the fact that this was in Super was just even funnier. As for what I didn't like about this episode, it was really just one thing, and that was just the fact that the way that the episode almost kind of ended, it just that basically, Arale was unstoppable, so that Bulma decided the only thing that she could do was just call Beerus. And when Beerus shows up, he actually seems to be able to almost kind of beat Arale and just almost basically fix everything, even if he wasn't going to destroy Arale as well. Honestly, I had a bit of an issue with that, because, see, I'm not going to go around and say that Beerus showing up and saving the day because he's just way stronger than everyone is just a bad plot device, but I feel like it's a plot device that's just been a bit overused in Super. The idea of, the gods are always going to show up and fix everything if things get too difficult. That was a thing, and while they've kind of been subverting that in some of the recent arcs in Super, I don't want this to be, the default. I don't want the default situation of Dragon Ball Super to be, when things get too difficult, we'll just Deus Ex Machina our way out of the situation. As for next episode, well, if you think this week was wacky, well, next week it probably isn't going to take the cake and get even wackier, but it's going to be equally wacky because we're getting a baseball episode. Universe 6 and Universe 7 are playing baseball. Also, none of them really know how baseball works, and also Yamcha is there helping them. Yeah, no, this is real. It's like the Toei decided to be when they were trying to work out what to do between these next few arcs, they're let's just think of the most ridiculous slice of life fillery episodes we can think of, and they came up with Dr. Slump crossover and baseball. So we're getting baseball next episode, and I think the most interesting thing is the fact is that it's not just Goku and Vegeta. It seems that Piccolo and Krillin and Gohan and obviously Yamcha are all there as well playing baseball. So it's there's a lot of characters there and a lot of things that are going on, and it sounds ridiculous, it also sounds hilarious, and it also sounds really interesting. So I'm definitely excited to seeing that. Probably even more excited than this week. So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 69. Honestly, trying to judge it by an episode of Super seems almost kind of missing the point because it didn't really feel like this was an episode of Dragon Ball Super. It felt like this was an episode of Dr. Slump, with some random characters from Toriyama's other later manga just kind of showing up and making cameo appearances. This entire episode ran on Dr. Slump humor. It ran on gag humor and gag logic. So obviously, going around and being like, I don't know if this makes sense or I don't know if this is consistent is kind of, I'm not going to say it's missing the point, but it's like they clearly didn't care because they were definitely using a very different mindset when writing this episode. So either way, I think I can just judge this by the fact that I think it was funny. I think the jokes worked well. I think it actually implemented the cast well. So I'd say it was a pretty good crossover episode. Not like the definitive crossover episode, honestly, because not every character was in there, but it was a good crossover. I think it was funny and entertaining, so I think I enjoyed it. I'd love to know what the thought process in Toei was right now when coming up with these few episodes, because they all sound completely ridiculous and awesome, but they're very unlike Dragon Ball. Not really unlike Dragon Ball Super, but unlike Dragon Ball in general. But it's basically been really, really enjoyable. They've been almost like complete genre shifts, but they have also led to just some very funny and just fun episodes. So obviously looking forward to next week. Also looking forward to the week after because it seems like we're getting to at least a more sort of actual story that's going to go on for more than one episode. I don't know if that's going to be a mini arc or like a big, big important arc, but either way, that sounds interesting and I am looking forward to it. So this is Gabby signing out and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!